What is up, Jabronis? JJ back here live, talking a little March Madness, um, Elite Eight, or I guess this is Elite Eight. Okay, so um, two interesting matchups, right? Miami, Kansas, and St. Peter's, North Carolina. I mean, first of all, it was nice to grab the sweat-free win with Nova yesterday. It's kind of like I said, like I've been very bullish on Houston all year, especially towards the latter of the season. But, I just didn't think Nova was a great matchup for them. And I mean, it was kind of played out, it doesn't happen often, but it kind of played out for reasons that I had specified. Houston's kryptonite would have been a team that makes threes and a team that makes their free throws. And Villanova does both of them really well. So, it felt like, watching the game, it kind of felt like Houston was always chasing their tail to catch up to Nova. And Nova, to their credit, hit him in the mouth early and then just kind of never look back. And again, with the way Nova's built with their free throw shooting, I mean, if they have a 3 to 4 point lead or bigger, of course, with like 2 minutes left, man, that game is iced. They have great ball handlers and they run great sets and, just another game that they just put away yesterday. Obviously that's a scary group. But there are some of these teams left that could definitely cause some issues for them. So, needless to say, I guess we'll get right into it, right? I mean, nice to hit Nova sweat free, but look, today's a new day, right? Okay, so this game here, obviously we'll start with the early one. So Kansas Miami current numbers have this at 145.5, and it's down to 5.5. So 5.5 in favor of Kansas. So interesting, right? Like you look at a team in Miami and their path here, right? They play two really long teams in USC and Auburn. And that I thought that was extremely impressive for them to beat a long team in USC that crawls, and then to play a team that plays at much faster pace in Auburn, who's long, and to just handle them both in styles that the other team really wants to play. I mean, USC wants to play games in the 60s. Miami beat them in the 60s. Auburn wants to play games in the 70s, and Miami beat them in the 70s. Iowa State, I mean, the way they scored against Iowa State was extremely impressive. This team's just been really good, or really efficient for that matter, more efficient than expected. And their defense has been obviously good as well. This is a different test for them defensively, though, having to see Kansas. But ultimately, so a few different things. So with the way this line's dropping, what's up, Jamil, Uncle T, Eric, Tersro. So believe it or not, so in this spot, and now the total's down to 145.5. I got a worse number. I actually got 147 myself. I didn't really think there would continue to be this much steam hitting the under. But yeah, even at a better number, I like it even more. So my play here is I like the over at 145.5 in this game. Might be able to even get a better number, I guess, depending on your book. But that's at minus 110. I'll explain why in a moment. This is Miami and Kansas. Okay, so so why I like the over in this spot is I think Kansas is absolutely going to love that Miami's going to run with them. You look at, I mean, yeah, granted, Miami doesn't play with like super fast pace, but they definitely move. And then when they play teams that want to run, they are happy to go with them. Look at some of their games, right? I mean, they played North Carolina earlier in the year. They throw up 85. Wake Forest, they throw up 92. They play Duke. They throw up 76 in a loss. When this team played teams that wanted to run, I mean, even Bama threw up 96 on them in a game that played extremely fast. Syracuse, whose pace was faster this year than normal, that game became a track meet. Just a lot of games for Miami became track meets. But again, like look at who they've played thus far. So they play USC again, who crawls, wants to play in the 60s. Auburn, I thought the pace was awesome in that game. I mean, Miami got up 66 shots in that game. And Auburn got up 70, not even including free throws. So the pace played really fast, and I think that game would have went over had Auburn not shot 25% from the field. So Miami's been playing with pace when they can. Iowa State obviously tried everything in their power to slow the game down, but like even them, like Iowa State, that was a game that had a ton of shots up. I mean, Iowa State got up 68 shots. And granted, some of that was helped on the offensive glass, but that's not a game that's playing slow, or not as slow as it should have. But again, shooting has been a bit of an issue. Now, Kansas is going to be very content to run with this team. And even you look at who Kansas has played thus far, right? They've played snails, Creighton, Providence. These teams crawl up and down the floor. And even the Providence game, I mean, Kansas just kind of let their foot off the gas late. What did Kansas shoot? Again, another game where they shot 40% from the field, ton of free throws though. And look, Providence gets up 68 shots. These games have been playing with a tremendous amount of pace. The shooting just hasn't been there. And I get it. If you look at box scores, it would make sense to bet the under in theory, right? But again, you're trying to estimate pace. And when you look here, Scott, just to answer your question, I don't mind this. If you don't want to bet the full total, if you just want to bet Kansas, I don't mind that at all. So, you hate to overanalyze a game just based on tempo alone, but this tempo should literally blaze. You look at a team in Miami and how they're going to score most effectively against Kansas. It's going to be in transition, right? They're going to try to get quick shots up, and they don't turn the ball over, so they're good there. And look, Miami's typically one and done. They're not going on the offensive glass at all. They give up a lot of damage on the offensive glass to opponents, and Kansas should be able to make a living on the offensive glass there. Free throws, I don't think will be a huge concern here. It really depends how they call the game, but they've been letting these kids play recently, right? What I will say also is on the Kansas end, Miami gives up assists to anybody who has high high offensive usage. So if anybody, for instance, right now, Remy Martin and Christian Braun have been holding the ball a lot for this offense from I guess what you would call the percentages of the possession, if you will. But the fact that the ball's in their hands, you would expect these guys to find shooters. And again, when you play Miami, this team is very susceptible to good ball movement. And it's not, Kansas isn't great, to be honest, but they can get up assists. And again, it's kind of so I gave out the play from the Iowa State game, which seemed like it hit with 12 minutes left. Tyrese Hunter over his assist. Now that was a little easier. It was 4.5 and he had 7, but I think he went over that with 14 minutes left in the second half. It was a little easier there, right? Because Tyrese Hunter is a ball cog, what I'll call him, on Iowa State in terms of the ball's always in his hands, and he's kind of facilitating the entire offense. Kansas is a little different, right? They don't really have a true point guard, but they bring in Remy Martin, who does hold the ball a bit, and Christian Braun, who's more of who I would consider much more of a scorer than a point guard, but again, he does bring the ball up and occasionally work that way. But I just think you can target some guys' assists if you'd like, if the numbers make sense for you at your book. But other than that, for me, like I said, the total in this game, it makes sense that the tempo will be there. And to me, if I can get 40% shooting from both teams, which isn't crazy good, I think this gets over pretty easily. I just think that there's obviously the chance where both these teams, the refs let them play, they don't call fouls, and there's not a lot of free throws and tough shots on both ends because of the refs are allowing a lot of physicality. And both these teams end up shooting, they're sub 35%. Then yeah, sure, it's not going to get over. But I think, like I said, you tell me right now, these teams shoot 40% combined. I think this goes over. And for me, it makes it a play I really like, especially at 145.5. So Kansas, haven't been impressed with Kansas so far. Number on Miami is short though. If I see 8 live, yeah, I mean Miami's been pesky, right? But Kansas, Kansas is still Kansas. The team is super talented. But again, they are known for kind of pissing down their leg this time of year. And I feel like I keep saying that because it always seems to happen. But will this be the spot? It could be. But I'm not. I don't like anything in the spread on this game. And it wouldn't be a live spot I'd like either in it. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit on on our Jersey City bunch. I currently can't pull up lines because I'm in Jersey. But from what I see, it looks like North Carolina 8.5, total 137.5. Man, I kind of feel blessed to not be able to bet on St. Peter's games because I probably would have lost every bet against them up to date. So, thank God that they're in Jersey City. And for the rules that I can't, we can't bet Jersey teams from Jersey and, each state, whatever. This is St. Peter's has been fascinating, right? I mean, this is a team with a bunch of lower star recruits. And these kids play with a tremendous amount of heart, and they're being very well coached. Tell you what, Holloway's going to get himself a nice gig after this little run whenever it ends. Could be today, but North Carolina is a different matchup for St. Peter's than what they've been seeing. But again, we said that about Purdue, right? Purdue was a gigantic difference in what they were seeing. I mean, Kentucky was long, but Kentucky wasn't nearly as big as Purdue. And it was weird, right? Like, I don't know if you guys, I obviously assume you watched it. To me, it was a super simple game plan from Painter, or what it had to be, right? I mean, put your two big men in at the same time. Rotate them out a bit, I guess, occasionally, because I know they don't like to play them like more than 20 minutes or 20-ish minutes. And just literally feed them. Let double teams come. If they come, kick out to your good shooters for threes, which you're literally one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. Or if they don't double, just back them in and literally dunk over these guys. But I know that, credit to St. Peter's that they ran a full court press, and it just seemingly caught Purdue with their pants down a lot more than you would have anticipated. So, again, another game where I felt like Matt Painter didn't really do a good job coaching. It just seems like he's another one that has some real severe issues coaching this time of year. But again, credit again to Holloway and to the Peacocks. Just a great game. Another great game all around. And this team, they're not getting a lot of great looks, but when they're getting them, they're hitting them. I feel like that kid, Edert, whatever his name is, kid's got swag. And he can absolutely splash from three. And like I said, it feels like every time he's left open, the shit just goes in. And they don't let really teams pull away. So interesting to see this North Carolina game, because North Carolina is a team you would have figured, they might have got a bit of heavy legs with the fact that they basically played no one on the bench. Meanwhile, a team like St. Peter's basically unloads the bench in most of their games. But here, look, St. Peter's has been fortunate enough to do a lot of the damage at the free throw line this season, and they've played some teams that have put them there. North Carolina likely won't be that team. But again, North Carolina is super susceptible from three. So if, St. Peter's tries to slow this game down and run their half-court sets, they might have some success getting good looks. North Carolina is going to inevitably run, though, with this team. They're going to want to run through everything about this team. And here's the thing. North Carolina has great guards. So St. Peter's with a full-court press is not going to work against North Carolina the way it worked against Purdue. And if St. Peter's decides to be ultra handsy, North Carolina will certainly make them pay at the free throw line. They have a ton of good free throw shooters. So yeah, I think it's another spot for St. Peter's where, this is what makes this run for them so impressive. They've played such disparity in teams in this tournament. You play the long team in Kentucky that likes to move quite often, and they're extremely good on the offensive glass. And they roll through them. And then they play Murray, who's a little bit of a slower team, more efficient on offense, a much better passing team, or a little more efficient passing team than Kentucky. They crawl with them and they're able to beat them. Then they play Purdue, another team that kind of doesn't play with a lot of pace, but they're extremely efficient offensively and extremely big inside. And, St. Peter's kind of got out. I mean, they were able to outcoach them and outwin there. And again, North Carolina now is another different matchup. Now you're playing a team that loves to run with tempo, and loves to get out in transition and pop threes. And I'm interested to see how St. Peter's decides to battle up against that. Now this line at 8.5, look, it's big. It's a big number, but again, how many times is St. Peter's going to cover these spreads? And you're not going to pay the price. So I don't love anything in this game. I also can't look at props because I can't even see them here in Jersey. So I can't really help you guys in that manner. But, I guess gun to my head, I'd probably play Carolina in the first half. I guess it'd be -4.5. I don't love that by any means, though, and I can't bet it here anyway, so I guess par irrelevant. But, that would be the direction I would go in. Again, though, I don't want any part of the St. Peter's team, even if I could bet them. I just think that they've been like a miracle team, and I'm not looking to get in front of Jesus as it relates to this team. But yeah, North Carolina is another different matchup for them, and if they adjust again, this has been a historic run for them, and kudos to that school in general, and yeah, just a lot of respect. I mean, they've been going toe to toe with some Goliaths, and they've been definitely holding their own. So kudos. And yeah, Rich, I do believe he's going to be going to Seton Hall. It makes sense. And then if he does well there, obviously he can traject even up further. But that would be a good gig for him, I think, and he's proved it. He deserves it. But yeah, other than that, so those are the games. Short and sweet. Kept this video under maybe 15 minutes about. So look, folks, you got Jay, who's got a NASCAR, I think a breakdown coming up very shortly. Joey's got another MLB preview coming up later tonight. And then Kay's got his live show, his NASCAR live show for on that end of things, where he's just going to continue to crush there. And if you haven't checked it out, the Run Pure Sports did a CBB DFS show as well. So if you're into DFS, and they also talk bets in there too. So be sure to check that out. But yeah, as always, folks, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being active in the chat. And as always, gamble responsibly, stay safe, and yeah, Run Pure, folks. I'll see you guys sometime next week or this week.